Guys, buckle up for a new episode of You and the Law Podcast, the one and only law enforcement podcast that's tackling critical policing and social justice issues and provides insights into the daily realities of policing with your host, Chief Virgil Green.
Well, hey, I want to welcome everybody to another episode of You and the Law Podcast show. I am the host of the show, Chief Virgil Green. And as you just heard the man on the mic say, hey guys, buckle up for a new episode of You and the Law Podcast, the one and only podcast that tackles critical policing and social justice issues and provides insights into the daily realities of policing with your host. Guys, I got to tell you, I got the man behind the voice on the podcast tonight. Brother Carle King, who is the host of Caliedascope
Radio Network. Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, everybody. You hear that radio voice. I'm
Man,
trying.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Chief. It's been a long time. I've watched the show, watched you grow and do great things with the show, and it's really a pleasure to be here with you, man. Unfortunately, we have a really tough issue to discuss, but nonetheless, It's still good to be with you.
Yeah, man. I have to tell you, Carl, I appreciate everything that you have helped me with through over the years with the podcast, and value your friendship, man. And so you're right. We have a tough topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on our YouTube channel, our Facebook, You and the Law Facebook page. If you got any comments, if you're on LinkedIn, thank you for tuning in. If you have any comments, put them in the chat. We'll get to them. The only thing we cannot get comments on is the YouTube, but definitely join us tonight for this informative topic because, like you said, Carl, it is a real serious topic and some things that really changed over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be talking about who caused the tragic accident involving the LSU football player, Kyren Lacy. And, Carl, when this happened, and unfortunately, this young man took his life.
Yes, he did.
He did. And he was he was going to be one of the top draft picks in the 2024 draft.
Absolutely.
And so and one thing that I want to talk about with you, Carl, tonight is this: the enormous amount of pressure that this young man was under once he realized that he was being charged with this accident that unfortunately did kill a 70-year-old male. But he's in college. He's playing football. Mm-hmm. He's getting ready to prepare to go to the NFL. And all of a sudden, everything changed. Yeah. And then they were saying he was going to be indicted by a grand jury for causing this accident. And it was some very serious felony charges. And so you can imagine, somebody who's never been in trouble before, now all of a sudden is facing some potential serious jail time. And, I'm going to show this video because some of the listeners may have forgotten about it. But it has definitely, Carl, gained a lot of attention in the last several weeks from his attorney, from this new video footage that they have released. So
sure,
let's watch this here, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness, who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he says verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing, but I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't say what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me, she pulled on the other side. And that's how
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side. But there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the gold truck.
This is the gold truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is gold truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him, and where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused.
You know, Carl, you know, when I saw that, and there's a lot of other videos out there, that's his attorney who has been representing him before he took his life. And his attorney said, I got you. Just, you know, I got you. But unfortunately, the pressure, so much media attention around it, he took his own life with a firearm. And so, you know, Carl, you and I kind of briefly talked about this. And with me being in this profession, you got to make sure that you get everything right when you're dealing with somebody's life. And why is it now that a year, all these months later or a year later, that this evidence is coming out, and it gives the appearance that there was some type of a cover up, or there was some intent to blame him for the accident. Now, you do see his green Charger passing in a no passing lane, but it was well before the impact of this vehicle.
Sure.
Where these two cars collided. Now, he kind of drives around the accident, doesn't think he needs to stop because he didn't cause the accident. And you hear people conflicting statements about, oh, the green Charger, this, the green Charger, that. And now, but in this video that we just watched, the man said that the green Charger didn't cause the accident. It was a person behind him. He didn't hit it. He didn't hit his brakes. He didn't ski it. But the lady behind him was going to hit him, and she made a corrective action that caused the accident. So, you know, Carl, just from your perspective, you know, you're in radio, you've seen this here. What do you kind of give me your thoughts on this?
Well, Chief, it's really unfortunate, and of course, it happens more than we really know about cover-ups and the illegality of it. It seems as if the police officer took a vested interest in trying to frame this young man. It didn't seem like he was on a fact-finding mission or trying to ascertain the facts. It seems as if he was trying to paint the picture, if you will. Well, you know, make sure you add this, make sure you put this and say this. Why does that need to be done? Why does that need to be said? You go to the, of course, that's not my job, but I would assume that as a police officer, you go and you try to ascertain the facts. You just go and get the witness's statement. I don't believe you should be coaching them and telling them what they should put down. I don't think that's proper. I would assume. I mean, it's this gentleman, to me, this seemed to be pure jealousy. Jealousy, envy, hate, whatever adjective you like to use, that's what it seemed to be to me. The guy seemed to make a concerted effort to frame this young man. And what's even more crazy about the situation, he doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be held accountable at all, and it doesn't seem like he's gonna be.
No, I think that's the one thing that's concerning, Carl, is the fact that, you know, as he's talking to the witness, he is really kind of influencing and kind of coaching the witness as to what to write, and make sure you put this in your statement.
About the green Charger and say this swerve that made you.
And so, you know, he's going off of he wasn't at the accident.
Right.
He's going off of what other witnesses are telling him that happened as to what they saw.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always two sides to a story. People, and I've seen this, Carl, multiple people can see something, the exact same thing, and they see it in a different way. They may have not seen it happen
Yeah.
right on impact, or they may have seen it on impact,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody is going to say something slightly different.
Uh-huh.
And you may have four of the people in their stories, they saw the exact same thing, but each of them, one or two, may have the exact same scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody is going to say, well, that's not what I saw, or that's
Right.
not what I heard. And
Right.
so that's where you really have to, fully investigate these type of accident, especially
Sure.
when there's a death involved.
Right.
And you're looking at who caused this accident, and is somebody going to be criminally held responsible? Because again, they were talking about charging him with hit and run. Now, you and I both know, I mean, you're not in this profession, but just common sense tell you, you have to physically hit a vehicle to be charged with hit and run. Hit and run means you hit it and you ran from the scene of
Right. Right.
but then now they're saying, well, based on his driving, a car had to swerve to miss him, and the car thought that he was coming at them in an evasive manner, and that's what caused. But he never made contact with any of the vehicles. And I want to, Carl, it was almost. I think I may have heard, somebody said 72 seconds. I mean,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
something like that.
It was over a minute. It was over a minute for sure.
That before these vehicles impact, and you see there's another video footage where you see the two cars impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
the green Charger pass and keep
going. Right.
And then you have other witnesses who are saying, oh, the green Charger did this and the green Charger did that. Well, but the green Charger never struck a vehicle. The only thing the green Charger didn't do that Lacy was driving, he did not stop.
Chief, there's an old saying. If was the fifth, we'd all be drunk. If would have, could have, should have, he did not hit anybody. He didn't.
Yeah. No, he didn't.
So,
and the fact, how did they, what evidence do they have to support that he caused the accident? And again, and I want to just kind of go back to something, because a lot of people, Carl, when this happened, they believe what was being put out by the state police there. Sure. That there was this green Charger was driven by this up and coming football. I mean, he was a good college football player. And so that right there in itself got a lot of media attention, because he plays for LSU. He's an up and coming. He's a football player. He's going to be going to the draft.
Sure.
If this was just somebody like, another just citizen, it wouldn't have got that much media attention. But here it is. It's going to get a lot of media attention, and there was a rush to judgment. There was a real rush to say, you caused this accident, and we need to find this green Charger. And now he's facing that he knows his life is going to be changed. And I want to talk about this, throughout the podcast. The suicide rate among young Black men is concerning, really concerning. And the fact that he took this extreme outlet to take his own life behind something that, if he would have given his attorney the opportunity to go through the court system, but he didn't do it. And I think that's where people, and I go back to who's accountable. Where's the accountability at? The accountability is on the person who caused the accident,
Mm-hmm.
but where does law enforcement, where does that responsibility lie within law enforcement to say we shouldn't have rushed to judgment, because do we bear any responsibility for this young man taking his life?
Well, Chief, the gentleman took his life. The young man took his life one day before grand jury
Yeah.
convening.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't understand is the young man knew himself that he didn't hit anybody.
Exactly.
I'm so sad. And obviously you can't get into his mind. I just was wondering why he didn't wait and give it a chance. It's not as if that next day he was going to jail. And if he would have given himself a little more time, the process would have worked itself out. It would have played out, and ultimately, I believe he would have been vindicated. But he didn't even give the process a chance to play out. He took his own life, unfortunately. Now, that can't just happen without any sort of culpability or responsibility or accountability. And I believe, from my perspective, that that police officer, the young man who was doing the investigating, I think it should squarely be on him. He should be sued personally. The town, the police department, whoever, they can sue. And that's the only recourse they have at this particular time. They can never bring the young man back. I just wish that the young man would have waited and given an opportunity, because he was feeling the weight of the world, as you alluded to earlier. He's feeling the weight of the world on him. He was in despair. He was in disbelief. He couldn't believe this was happening to him. And for whatever reason, he felt like ultimately that it wasn't going to be in his favor, and he took his own life. Somebody has to be responsible for that, Chief. This just can't go unpunished.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, Carl. As you mentioned, it was a day before the grand jury was going to, most likely he felt they were going to indict him. And he didn't have, that's not something he really wanted to go through.
Right.
And so, what was going on prior to all of that? There's a lot of media attention around it. There's a lot of finger pointing. He understands the seriousness of this incident, of this accident.
Sure.
And, you know, and I'm pretty sure he had the family support around him. But it just was not enough to keep him to where he didn't cause any harm to himself, because, I believe he took his life in Houston, and it wasn't in the Louisiana area. So he took his life in Houston. I think the police ended up trying to pull him over, and there was a situation happened there. But he took his life in Houston, and so again, it kind of goes back to, did the investigators talk to him with his attorney? Did they get his statement as to what he did? Because again, I don't know if this video was, if they knew that video existed the day of the accident.
Sure.
And now they, Carl, I think with a lot of incidents like this, I tell officers all the time, everybody's got cameras everywhere.
That's right.
Start looking, canvassing the area to see if there is a camera at a convenience store, at a gas station, or at somebody's home, or if there's a city, or who has a camera up somewhere, and because that camera is going to be vital in that investigation. And so, it appears that this video that surfaced from this store surfaced after he took his life, and But the one thing now I'm starting to see, Carl, is that now there's a justification. Now we're going to go back. Now we're going to justify why we accused him of causing the accident.
Right.
There's no, you can't bring his life back.
No.
But did this investigation contribute to him taking his life, and the fact that there, like I said, there was a rush to judgment. You had a lot of different witnesses saying this, and that. But the main thing is, if he caused the accident, there shouldn't be any other questions about it. But now there's new evidence, and it has caused a lot of people to talk about this, Carl.
Sure.
You know, on the Pivot podcast, a lot of football players. I've seen a lot of other a lot of people are asking questions why. And Carl, I'm gonna bring up this. It has nothing to do with this LSU football player situation, but I don't know if you heard. This was probably well over a month ago in Mississippi, where a college student, a freshman,
Yes.
they said they found him hanging from a tree.
Sure.
On a
At
college
HBCU.
campus. Yeah. And so then they came out and said, you know, there was an autopsy done. It showed there wasn't any signs of any trauma to his body. Then the family did their own independent autopsy, and now that independent autopsy is saying that there was trauma to the body, blunt force trauma to the body. Then you had somebody say, oh, well, he wasn't hung by a tree. He was in his dorm room. So you got all these different speculations going on. And now that's another incident that has gained a lot of media attention.
Sure.
And you've got people like the former vice president, the former president, a lot of entertainers, celebrities are saying there needs to be justice for this young man. But you have the school officials, the police chief are saying, no, there's no foul play in it. He took his life. And now people are saying he didn't take his life. And now here we are dealing with the former LSU football player, where he took his life behind a tragic accident. And as you just mentioned, Carl, he knew he didn't cause the accident.
Right.
And I think this goes back to a whole nother issue, Carl, related to the serious conversation around mental health. Sometimes people ignore it, Carl, but sometimes people really need to stop and say, okay, what's really going on? And and again, I think people give these young men a lot of space because they're maturing.
Sure.
But where was that support from the university or somebody to say, hey, let's sit down and let's talk about this?
Well, one of the things as far as LSU is concerned, as far as the football program, Brian Kelly's the head football coach there right now. And there
was a bad situation with him and another football player.
It's been a lot of information regarding him and his support, or should I say a lack thereof. I haven't heard specifically about the support from the LSU football team, but I do know this, that there have been several concerning incidents regarding LSU football players, and the family members of these players were talking about that they hadn't heard from the coach, hadn't heard from the administration, no support whatsoever. So first of all, that's not good, because obviously they want him for monetary reasons, for him to play and represent and do well for the Tigers on Saturday. But any other time, any other day after that, you're just there to, fill up space, I guess, because there hadn't been any real support as far as I could tell. And the young man, mental health is a really serious issue, as you alluded to earlier. It's rising. Mental health, for whatever reason, used to be almost exclusively, to a certain extent, in one community that wasn't Black. Black mental health issues, deaths, and problems that occur from mental health issues are rapidly ascending in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Rapidly.
Yeah.
And I just That's the thing that really is upsetting to me. Why couldn't you give it a little more time? Because, like I said,
Yeah.
at that particular point, he hadn't been officially charged or sentenced or anything. I just wonder what was on his mind and why he did that. And I'm so very, very sorry for his teammates, his family members. I saw one young man who was really, really emotional about it during draft night, and he
Mm-hmm.
had his T-shirt on and his number um, upon his lapel. And he said
Mm-hmm.
he's going to have an opportunity to walk across that stage. It was really, really touching,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate because the young man should be here with us right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, Carl, you mentioned about the current LSU football coach, Kelly,
hmm Brian Kelly, yes,
Brian Kelly. There was another football player who was seriously injured on the
paralyzed,
field,
yes,
paralyzed.
hmm
I watched on the Pivot podcast where they interviewed him and his father. His dad is a former college player, NFL player, and so he knows the sport,
sure,
knows what the risk that comes with playing football. And if
sure,
we've all played football, so we know the risk, especially when you get to that level. And
right.
even in high school, there's
Oh
risk.
man. I mean, Keith,
And
you're talking about most people. Not most people are not aware of this. I know that you are because you obviously played at a high level. Big Texas Tech Raider in the house.
it is, brother. Hey, man, Texas, we're ranked 6th or 7th in the country.
Salty, man, salty. Every time I see anything from Texas Tech, I always think about you,
Yeah.
um, Chief. Um, the young man has not been supported, and for whatever reason, as you alluded to earlier, this seems to be a pattern with Brian Kelly. The dad said it was 17 months or so before he had heard from
It,
anyone.
yeah, and again, I want to, if you are a college football coach,
hmm
these students, everybody looks up to you. The players do, the families do. You spend a lot of time with these families recruiting these young men to come to your school,
That's right.
especially those who are being highly recruited around the country.
That's right.
And I want to say, Lacy was from the Louisiana area. He went to high school there, I believe, and so he was known in the back in the Louisiana area.
Sure.
And so, um, you know, the dad, he's not just going to come on a podcast and go public and say Brian Kelly, it took him 17 months to reach out to him, um, and it did not happen.
Right.
And then in this situation that Brian Kelly, with the death of Lacy,
hmm
after this new evidence came out, Carl, he said, "Well, let's just kind of sit back and let's see what We don't want to rush to judgment or anything like that." Now, you just lost one of your highly recruited football players took his life, and you haven't came out and publicly said, this is not right.
You're not advocating for your
And
players.
you're not, and you are a voice that people will listen to, and you will say, "I know this young man. I know what his intentions were, and from what I have seen, and like you said, you don't want to just rush to judgment, but you have to take a stand somewhere. And it does not seem like Brian Kelly he didn't take a stance. He didn't reach out to the family of the player that
No.
is had a bright future in football. He was
Yeah.
another LSU player that was
Sure.
going to the pros. He'll never play in the pros again. He'll never be the same.
No.
Lacy will never play in the pros. So you have to ask these coaches are being paid millions of dollars.
That's right.
But like you said, where's the coach advocating for his player to say, listen, we got your back. We need to make sure that you got good legal representation with your family. But the main thing of it is, what kind of support,
Right.
Carl, do you need from us?
Sure. Sure.
Because somebody should have said, we need to have Lacy sit down with somebody to
That's
make
right.
sure that he's good.
That's right.
Because
That's
that
right.
is, can you imagine the enormous amount of pressure that a 21-year-old is facing, like jail time? That's the only thing he's thinking, Carl,
Right.
is
Right.
I'm going to go to jail.
Well, if you think about the range of emotions that you experience doing something like that, so you think about, so you're and some of the boards that I saw had him as a first round draft pick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So here you are, you've worked all of your life, you're living out your childhood dream to be a professional football player. That's in your reach. It's right there in your view. You can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this accident comes along.
And it's
It
taken.
obviously has the potential to ruin your future goals.
Yeah.
All of that mounted onto you. You don't have the support of the university. You're not being supported in a way that you should be. Like they're not supporting you in the way that they were on Saturday night on the field. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it's you know, and I liken this, Chief, a bit off subject, if you will, but these are the things that I think about when I think about these young men committing to these universities. This is why I really wish that these young men who are highly recruited, I wish they would go to HBCUs. I
Mm-hmm.
wish it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
The campus is a lot smaller, but the way people treat you and care about you, you're not a number there.
Yeah.
You're not a number. You're
Yeah.
not a number. And for whatever reason, these guys in these big programs, they're just a number. They don't take any personal vested interest in these players. You have a player who is now a paraplegic.
Yeah.
You do not reach out to this man for over a year and a half. Didn't hear anything from you.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
The last time you saw him was when he was being taken off the field. You may have went to the hospital visiting.
That's
Maybe
right.
other coaches did, but you're the head coach.
That's right.
You are the face of that organization, and just like being in the profession, I mean, you're the police chief. You're the face of that agency. You're the face of the university. You want to make sure that you're out there showing the family that you're supporting in any kind of way. And Carl, and I think this kind of goes back to what has happened over the last 2 years, especially the last year or two, the NIL deals, where it is just blown up to where these college players, both male and females, probably more males, are getting these NIL deals that are very lucrative.
Very lucrative.
And so because they're making the universities a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're being able to get a piece of that. And Carl, this is kind of off topic, but I was watching on the Pivot, the podcast, where they were interviewing. He was a basketball player back in the 70s, and he played with Dr. J, but he was in college. He got out of college and he played for the ABA, and he ended up suing the ABA, the NBA, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And I've got to find his name because his case really set the stage of what athletes are now being able to receive. And he mentioned that it is probably like $5.8 billion that what he did back in the 70s that has never been done before has opened up the door for players, even after he won that Supreme Court decision. But you have to think about, and he was from Mississippi, and he said that his mom, even himself, they picked cotton for $2 a day, Carl. And so he was now able to take care of his family. and to get them out of the cotton field. But you have to think about here, just like in the music industry, people are taking advantage of, athletes are taking advantage of, but
That's right.
now you're seeing these NIL deals that players are getting a lot of money. And I don't know if Lacy had an NIL deal back in 2024, but Carl, it just kind of goes to there is a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people don't know about. And so, but this situation here where he took his own life, and now people are saying he's innocent. He didn't cause the accident.
Right. Somebody has to be held accountable for this. I mean, it just can't be swept up under the rug. I'm wondering what's going to be next. That's my thought process. What's going to happen next? This can't just be swept up under the rug. This gentleman, clearly you can see on camera him making a concerted effort to sway, to basically put his finger on that investigation.
Yeah.
He told them, make sure you put in there what they said. Make sure you. Why would you say that? Why wouldn't you just say, tell the truth to the best of your recollection?
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
Yeah. Don't put in there what the green charger did. Don't put in it. Don't tell me anything. You write down what you saw. I'm not trying to coach you. I'm not trying to give you any information. And the one thing that the attorney said at the end of that video, it wasn't even written by him, but where the signature is at, it said refused. So now there's a question. The gentleman that the state trooper was talking to and telling him to write out the statement, did he write refused where he should have signed his name? And if he did so, why would he write refused? So that's something that has not been talked about through this investigation. And I hope that some things come out. And this is one thing that I hope will happen, Carl. You can't bring his life back.
No, you can't.
At all. But if you're going to have a grand jury look at who caused the accident, there should be a grand jury to look into, was there any, was this a fair and impartial investigation that was led by the state troopers in Louisiana, and to look at all this evidence. So if you're going to hold this young man accountable, you need to hold law enforcement accountable and have a grand jury look at all this evidence to see, because again, a young man lost his life. Unfortunately, a 78-year-old man lost his life behind somebody who caused an accident where he lost his life. But somebody needs to be held accountable, Carl. Carl, I just want to jump in and let everybody know that you're tuned in to You and the Law podcast. If you're just now tuning in, whether you listen on LinkedIn, Facebook Live, on You and the Law podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, definitely thank you. Put your comments in the chat section. Tonight, we are talking about, with my guest, the voice of Brother Carle King, who is the co-host of Caliedascope Radio Network out of Oklahoma City.
OKC in the house. Thunder up, man.
Thunder up, who's heard all around the globe. So again, I got my guest on, Carle King, co-host of Caliedascope Radio Network, and we're talking about who caused the tragic accident involving the LSU football player Lacy, who was facing a grand jury charge on causing the accident. That we're going to looking at facing hit and run, vehicular homicide, very serious felony charges, Carl. But Carl, again, I think that's where if people have answers to say, okay, if there's a grand jury, and maybe the governor of Louisiana needs to say, we need to have a grand jury, or the attorney general, somebody needs to step up and say, just so the rumors are, if there's rumors out there, somebody needs to step up and say there needs to be a grand jury look at this and see how this investigation was handled.
They also, I would hope that the parents, prospective recruits that may go to LSU, I would hope that they would voice their opinion. I would not want to send my child somewhere where, in essence, they're going to be left out in the cold, if you will. They're not going to have any support when they need them the most.
Yeah,
the support system is not there.
yeah.
So I would hope that some of these parents and some of the recruits, they would pause and sort of, reevaluate if LSU is the right place for them to be.
You're right, Carl, because again, LSU is a very, football is well known at LSU.
Sure.
But we go back to this incident and the other incident with the football player who is now paralyzed for the rest of his life, injured on the field.
Yeah.
The coach has not really said anything about it. The father is extremely upset behind how the coach has treated the family.
Sure.
And the fact that his dad played football.
Right. He knows the game, the ins and outs, how it's supposed to go. Sure.
And Coach Kelly came into the home and recruited him. Whether he recruited him or didn't recruit him, now he's the football coach. But where's the voice and where's the face of the football coach in front of that family? And this is
Coach,
another.
It just shows you that they, when you go to these large institutions, these private institutions, and play football and lay your life on the line, if you will, for LSU or whatever school you deem necessary, you're really just sort of a number. They don't really care about you. The proof is in the pudding. You have two incidents right here where the one gentleman was paralyzed, and then you have the situation where this young man, he didn't feel support. Obviously, I would assume that he felt the weight of your support and felt like he had a chance, or felt like, you were behind him. Who knows? He may still be here now. And he's just sort of, one of the things that I found to be very interesting about Coach Kelly, he seemed to be almost indifferent, sort of.
He's removed himself.
He's like removed himself.
Yeah,
he's removed. Deal, really.
Yeah, Carl, he just removed himself. He didn't put himself in it. He just he's on the sideline, and he's a very quiet. He's like a spectator on the sideline. Doesn't have anything to really say unless you ask him, and if you ask him something, it's very short.
Right.
He doesn't go into any detail.
We'll let the situation play out. We'll see what happens. What do you mean? We'll let the situation play out. I mean, your voice, you speaking and injecting your thought process into it may change the process. So, I mean, I don't. You're right. He just sort of I don't want to get involved, and that is not something that I would want my head coach of my son to be participating in, or should I say a lack thereof. I need you to step up, just like you came in and how you were forceful and you were here and said all these great things about the college when you wanted my son between those lines.
Yeah.
Now you know where to be found.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Carl. It is something that, again, I'm pretty sure the family has had those conversations with him. I know he had a lot of support from a lot of players, from all of the players. And, this not only impacted all of his friends, all of his football players.
Sure.
High school, college, and there's a lot of unanswered questions as to why. He was in a vehicle by himself. Why? Somebody should have said, you're really experiencing something very traumatic, and we need to make sure that you are okay. I'm just going to go back to this mental health piece.
Sure.
Because that is something that is ignored and not talked about. And I'm hoping that people who are watching and listening to the podcast tonight really just sit back and think about what was this young man going through? And is this something that it could have been prevented?
Right.
And how do we make sure that something like this here doesn't happen to another football player or basketball player? Everybody's we're not perfect. People are going to make mistakes.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, Carl, don't rush to judge and accuse people of doing something because you don't know how that person is going to respond to that.
That's right. That's right. Unfortunately, this young man, as you alluded to, we won't have an opportunity to bring him back. Now, the only recourse for his family is through
And who do you blame?
attorneys,
Do you put it on the state of
monetary
Louisiana?
value.
Yeah. Do you put it on the state of Louisiana? Do you put it on the state troopers who investigated the accident? You know, you really can't hardly put it on the witnesses. You got witnesses who are telling conflicting
Coerced and
statements. And now you got them feeling like, because from what I saw, Carl, there was quite a few black drivers who saw the accident. I mean, it's predominantly, heavily populated black community. And so, again, I go back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, is that people see you can have 4 people in one car.
right.
And they're going to say something different. Maybe 2 will say the exact same thing, but the others are going to say, no, that's not what I saw.
Sure.
And somebody going to say, well, y'all all in the same car. How did you not see what they saw? Well, again, that's why you have investigations that are pretty thorough to get an understanding of people in the car, the witnesses, their surveillance cameras, all that information. Because again, that trooper that day went to that man's house, had him to sign a statement, or either that day or the next day, that said, this is what you need to put in your statement. You need to put this here, Dodge Charger did X, Y, and Z. And he's saying, well, it was the gold truck. It was the gold truck behind me. And so why was there such a and you mentioned this earlier, Carl, why was there such an effort by this state trooper to influence the person that he was talking to get the statement? Why?
It was a concerted effort. I mean, you could hear multiple times on the audio, he told multiple witnesses to the green Charger did this. I mean, he didn't mention any other car.
No, he didn't. And they were so focused on the green Charger because people said, oh, there was a green Charger and it passed and it didn't stop. Well, the green Charger never hit a vehicle. People just saw everybody else stop. But Lacy, driving a green Charger, slowed down, went around the vehicle, and went on about where he was going. Now, people will say, well, why he just didn't stop? The young man probably thought, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I didn't cause it. I don't want to be here.
If other people stopping, I mean, okay.
Then other people, yeah.
Right. Then these people are getting taken care of.
Yeah.
He may have been on the way to, where he was going. If you come up on an accident, and the only reason I would see where people would have some sort of issue with that, from a Good Samaritan standpoint, if he came up on an accident and there was nobody there, then you could possibly say something. But it was multiple people that came, that stopped, that saw it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, it's only you can only do so much. If it wasn't, I mean, you at some point when you start having looky-loos and all these onlookers and people clogging up the scene and causing problems. So I don't feel like the young man should have stopped if he didn't want to. I mean,
there's not a law.
Right. There's no law.
Not a law.
And we don't know what happened. Obviously, if the young man saw and ascertained that there were people there to assist, then he felt like he could go on.
Yeah.
And that's it's It's funny that you bring that up, Chief, because it's almost like the officer was upset and wanted him, like, that's the reason he was doing this, because he didn't stop. Like, you arrogant little Negro or something, like,
Yeah,
the nerve
yeah,
of you not to stop. I mean, and then so when that happened, it seems like he took a personal vested interest to basically frame this young man,
yeah,
to frame him.
yeah. Well, there definitely was some concerns there with the statements, with his conversation with this particular person that he was telling to write this statement out. And I'm just going to go back to, I'm curious as to why it was put down there refused. Did the trooper put down there that the person writing the statement refused to put their signature there? And if he did, why? Um, because now it's going to be interesting to see or hear what that, if that driver is ever interviewed, or
Mm-hmm.
if he speaks to the news media, or if his attorney has spoke to him, to see who put refused on there. I think that's key. That's one of the key things in here, Carl. It is.
Sure. That's a
And
big deal.
yeah,
That's a big deal. But one of the
yeah.
things too, Chief, that you asked a question earlier about who would be held responsible, and I mean the gentleman. So was the police officer? Was he part of the Louisiana Highway Patrol?
Yes, he was a state trooper.
So if he was a state trooper, I would say that. Uh, I would say the gentleman, the man personally, I would say you sue him personally, and then you sue the troopers in the state of Louisiana. Now, one of the things that happens in these cases is, you sue the troopers and basically just comes out of taxpayer money, taxpayer expenses, versus coming from them, sue the union.
But that's pretty hard to do, Carl.
I
It's
know.
pretty hard. You got this,
Qualified immunity.
qualified immunity, pretty hard to do. But I think, this kind of goes back to, there's going to probably be some civil suit against somebody,
Hmm.
against the state troopers. Uh, they're the ones who investigated it.
Sure.
But I really kind of go back to, there should be a grand jury should look into this here to see,
Convene and come up with some real answers.
to say, okay, this is what we have, and this is what was provided. Because again, I think there was some coercion there, with this one witness statement, and the fact that a young man took his life. Why was such a burden put on him behind an accident he was accused of causing? But
Hmm.
then after his death, now there's credible information that shows that he did not cause the accident. Because that's, Carl, that's what everybody was going on when this initially happened. The narrative was put out there, and when you put a narrative out there, it is real hard to take that narrative back because it's
One of
already
his
out there.
Chief, that's a great point. One of his teammates, Malik Neighbors, who was a first round draft pick, and I believe this young man is playing for the Giants now, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, he spoke about how people, when this happened, how they were coming out, speaking out, going all against this man, real, real hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's real, real low in the response back after they found out he was innocent.
Yeah,
The same people who were out there loudly proclaiming him being guilty, he should be punished, and this and that,
yeah,
now they're quiet as church mice.
yeah. They are, and again, I go back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast. As we're talking about, on tonight's topic, who caused the tragic accident involving LSU football player Lacy? Did he cause it, or did somebody else cause the accident? There was a lot of information was put out there, all over the news media, that he caused the accident, and people were looking for him. And I wish he hadn't had that firearm in that car. I wish he would have had a lot more support. I wish some people would have. His family is really it. they're devastated by what happened, but nobody just took the time. And even though he had an attorney, and his attorney said at his funeral, Lacy said, "You got me?" And he said, "Yeah, I got you. Just hang with me. I got you." That should have sent a very strong message, Carl, into the listeners that we need to make sure that he doesn't need to be by himself, because there are some things that you don't know what a person is going through. And this is why the conversation around mental health is so important. And we need to have these conversations.
Chief, it's such a stigma. It's such a heavy weight around our necks. Now, mental health is an issue across the board, but specifically men. You know, we're taught to be strong, not emotional, to be the rock of the family.
Yeah.
What happens when we need support? When we need somebody, where do we go? Who do we turn to? And for whatever reason, men feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And when that happens, they have no outlet. And then the result, more times than not, turns to hurting their own self.
Yeah.
Whether it be, overdose, killing themselves, hurting somebody else. There's a lot of pain that comes with this. And it's not something that we can talk about freely for whatever reason, because of the stigma through society of what's placed upon men and how we're supposed to act. We're supposed to be strong and we're supposed to be tough. And what happens when our armor gets a chink?
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah. Well, Carl, I want to say this real quick. We're coming up on the last few minutes of the podcast. This gained a lot of media attention when it happened.
It did.
That's gained a little bit more media attention now since this new evidence is coming out. You got the state police who are coming out defending the investigation.
Right.
I want to ask those who are listening tonight and those who will listen to this podcast later on. There's a lot going on around the country, Carl. How important is this topic tonight? How important is it to talk about who caused the tragic accident involving the former LSU football player? Who's responsible? Go down that list as to who's responsible. There is some questions that have now come out in evidence that he was not responsible. He did not cause the accident. He did not hit a vehicle.
Happened behind him.
He was well behind. He was coming up on the accident after it happened. And so, I want to know what takeaways will people have with this topic tonight, and how people will comment on it as we move forward. Because again, I hope that this gets a lot of attention, and I hope this gets before a grand jury as to what happened, and hold some people accountable. It's too late. It's not going to bring him back, but
it's not.
There's this hashtag justice for Kyren Lacy. There has to be some justice there.
I wonder if it's going to happen. Oftentimes in these cases, they come out, they investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. And something tells me this will be the case with this situation as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I hope that the lawyers stay strong and fight and bring some justice and some closure to this young man's family and restore his good name.
Yeah.
This was an exemplary good man, good young man, never been in trouble before. Just a bright young man with his whole entire future ahead of him. Yeah. And it was snuffed out.
Yeah, definitely was. Well, Well, hey, Carl, man, I want to appreciate you, brother, coming on the podcast, being my
Pleasure,
guest
sir.
tonight
Pleasure,
as we
sir.
talked
Pleasure.
about this
Yes, sir.
tragic, unfortunate incident that involved a former LSU football player who now evidence has come out that he did not cause the accident, and somebody else was responsible for that tragic accident that took the life
Yes,
of
sir.
a 78-year-old man.
Chief, I appreciate you, man. I just want to give you your kudos, and I've watched your growth over the years with this show, and your information and the topics that you discuss are second to none, and your voice is very, very much needed. And I'd also like to say to all of the men, women, whoever is in earshot, if you have any sort of mental issues, mental health issues, please get help.
Yeah.
Please get help. You can't do it by yourself.
No.
You have people here to help you, that care about you, that love you, and we need you here.
Yeah,
So please,
exactly.
please get some help.
Yeah, we do. Well, hey, Carl, just want to remind everybody that if you enjoyed this episode of You and the Law podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you follow podcasts, and follow us on our You and the Law Facebook page. Go like it, share it, tell a friend. It is one of the hottest, it is one of the most informative law enforcement podcast that it
It's
comes
the
on.
most informative.
Yeah,
Bar none.
the
Bar
most
none.
informative. Every week we come on here, Carl, every Thursday and have these conversations about policing in America, how that impacts the Black and brown community,
That's right.
whether it's good or bad.
Mhm.
And so, again, I just want to thank everybody who continues to support the podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to go out to our YouTube and subscribe. Go to our Facebook page and like it and share it. And if you miss any parts of this broadcast, it will be uploaded and put on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's going to be there. But again, Carl, I have to thank you. And next week, make sure you tune in for another live informative topic. I'm going to have on my guest, Sean Carroll, who was on a couple weeks ago. We're going to be finishing up part 2, Carl, of our conversation around the 11 fatal flaws of leadership.
Oh,
What
wow.
is it? Leadership in policing, what is leadership just in the private sector or the public sector. But I'm
Sure.
going to have Sean Carroll on, who who has a book that's going to be coming out. So we're going to be getting back into that conversation about the 11 fatal flaws of leadership, because it is real important, whether you're in this public sector in public safety, or if you're in the private sector. Leadership is important, and you have to have good leadership.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, Carl, man, again, appreciate it. We're going to have to do this again, brother.
Absolutely. Look forward for the opportunities. Great show. Had a good time.
All right. Everybody, again, thank you for tuning in tonight, and make sure you tune in next Thursday right here on You and the Law podcast for another informative topic. We'll see you again next Thursday.
That's a wrap on this episode of You and the Law podcast. We've got more eye-opening conversations and hard-hitting insights coming your way, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and stay ready, because the next episode might just change the way you see law enforcement forever.